The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on. He missed the complete that. He's crazy.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Normally, racing drivers are selfish creatures, driving for the glory of winning and the passion for battle. Their thoughts are almost always looking out for number one, but today something different is in store. Egos are being put aside, and drivers are teaming up with their fellow club mates in order to work towards a common goal of making it to the final round of the World Cup. Today, U.S. clubs from the Northwest, New York, and the Carolinas are joined by their northern neighbor Canada to comprise Group D of the World Cup. Which club will advance to the finals we'll know in just under an hour when the checker flag falls at Suzuka. You're watching the Global Sim Racing Channel's Live As It Happens coverage of the iRacing World Cup Group D Road Course Semifinals. Hello everyone and welcome to another GSRC broadcast. I'm your host, Bill Soupzon. Helping me call the action is Brian Yasik. Turning the knobs and pushing the sliders is our director, Amjad Yaman. And at his disposal, the camera location provided by the Ansel Adams of iRacing, Dougie Beard. Brian, this year, they've elected for a very iconic track on the roadside. And most race fans will know a lot about Suzuka. But for those who are uninitiated, why don't you spend a little time and talk a little about this track?
Thank you, Bill. Suzuka is very famous for the culmination race of the Senna versus Prost rivalry that captivated Formula One racing in the late 80s to early 90s. But what a lot of people don't know is that Suzuka was designed as a Honda test track actually in 1962, and it is also one of the few circuits in the world to have a quote-unquote figure 8 layout, where the backstretch passes over the front stretch actually in a means of an overpass. But so what all that means is 3.69 miles, 3.609 miles, or 5.8 kilometers, 17 turns. To give everybody a better example of how this track really ebbs and flows, rather than me just talking about it, we're going to take a spin around the track from Sean Breitzman.
All right, we've got Sean Breitzman in the GSRC DW12, so let's do a lap around Suzuka. Turns 1 and 2 will effectively be taken as one corner. Overtakes are possible, but only if you can get fully alongside. There's a fair bit of banking to help keep your momentum up, but quickly, you've got to switch right at the exit because now starts the infamous S's. Each corner requires you to set up the car for the next one, meaning keeping a rhythm will be critical to a good lap time. Get offline, and it'll be hard to recover until you exit this entire first section of the track. Now we're going to just feather the throttle around this last left-hander that leads uphill into the Dunlop curve. In the DW12, Dunlop is easily flat out, but make sure to hold left at the end for the first Degner. A quick flick through this single-file kink, and then you're into Degner 2. This one's a lot slower, but once again, there's plenty of camber to help the car fly through the bend. After that, it's a short blast up to the hairpin. The kink on the entry makes overtakes an awkward proposition, but it's not impossible to pass here. Make sure and square off your exit for the straightest line you can get as you ease into the power. Now we take on the long arc of turn 12. With the gobs of downforce on the Dallara, you'll be flying through here and never lifting. Once you hit the end of it, hold right for the approach into Spoon. There's 2 apexes to hit here. First is fairly quick, let the car drift out, slow it down, and then get nice and snug right up to the apex of the second part. If you miss it or the car gets unsettled, expect to suffer the embarrassment of your opponent breezing past on the long climb up the backstretch. However, if you're side by side by the time you reach 130R, this game of chicken will force at least one of you to back down. Otherwise, expect a heavy shunt. After that, it's not long until you're braking heavily for the Casio chicane. This is the last good place to effect a pass and probably the most straightforward one. This tight little right-left will test your prowess on the brakes, steering, and the sensitivity of your right foot all in a short span. If you nail the exit, you set yourself up with a good run to the line where you finished a lap around Suzuka.
And there's a lap around Suzuka. 17 turns. Some real notable turns in there. They're going to create some problems. But before we talk more about the track and where the trouble parts may be, where the passing zones may be, let's go ahead and take a second and walk you through this this championship format that is the World Cup on iRacing. Now, today we have 4 clubs here today. They are Northwest and Canada. Now, those guys were seeded 4 and 5 in the rankings in the earlier heat. And then you have New York, and also they're joined by the Carolinas. Now, there's 2 heats. Each club gets 6 drivers per heat. So if we had a full course here, we'd have full field, we'd have 6 times 4 is 24. I don't know if we're going to get that many. We'll see. The top 5 drivers of each club score, and the top club from both heats moves on to the finals that's going to take place in a couple weeks. Then there's the wild card, and this is something that's really important and may play a factor here in this race today. Because some of the other clubs in the other heats were so dominant, like Finland, and then the club of UK Ireland was really brutal. They just crushed the competition. And then the club of Germany, Austria, and Switzerland that was combined together, they also dominated. There wasn't a lot of scraps left over for teams in their division, in their group, to pick up extra points and make that 5th wild card spot. Today, we might have a different situation. We may actually have a little contest here between Northwest and Canada. This could be closer, and even if the battle is close, and even if it's a close battle, that means the second place is probably going to have considerable points, and there's a chance we may see 2 of these clubs representing North America. Now, Brian, you spent a little time out there on the track ahead of time in this Dallara DW12. What do you think about fuel here today? I think they're going to have to make a pit stop.
Absolutely. The way that the DW12 tends to burn through its fuel is because it revs up so high. So when I was out running around on the track, I was maybe going to be lucky if I could hit 20 laps on a tank of fuel. Now, someone with probably a more skilled road racing foot other than I, who has the heavy oval club foot, could probably stretch that closer to that number. But with the way that this race is going to go, with being a 45-minute race, you're probably going to see pit stops somewhere around the 25-minute to the half-hour mark. So then's going to come the strategy play of, do you split the race dead even in the middle, save some fresh rubber, and keep the fuel load light so you can know that you can hit your race, or do you kind of go long and then use the lighter fuel load at the end to try to make up time? So that, I think we're going to see some very interesting strategy here, Bill, and it's going to be a heck of a race. I love Suzuka.
Absolutely. And what we've seen a lot of drivers do, and we saw this in the previous races, is the driver, if you're being held up, if you're the caboose in a 6-car train, a lot of times maybe you want to be the first person to pit if possible. Come on in, then you can come out, run some hot laps and not be held up. And when the other guys, when it all cycles through, you can find yourself making the pass the easy way. Let's go ahead and now talk about the track and where we might see some passing areas. There's a couple long straights here that make this pretty good for these faster cars, gives them a little run, some chances to make some passes.
Absolutely. You're coming down the front stretch, and then you make that long winding bend off of turn 12, or turn 14, which is the opposite end of Spoon Curve. So it really lets you channel your inner Jeremy Clarkson, mash that loud pedal to the floor, and just let that engine scream. But at the same time, when every time you come around, you're going to have to whoa that car up. And the big trouble spot that I'm looking at is going to be turn 16. Turn 16, 17, and 18, affectionately known as the Casio Triangle, because you're going to have to whoa that car down from full speed, top speed, 6th gear, all the way down to 1st or 2nd, depending on how you go through there. The way I'm looking at that, that's going to be a big calamity corner. And the S-curves also can pose an interesting challenge to a driver as well, because the way none of those 2 curves are exactly the same, so you don't really develop a good rhythm through there. You just kind of try to follow the apexes. So the big trouble spot that I might be looking at would be turn 5, or turn 4 actually, where the kitty litter is on the inside of the track. If you overshoot that, you're going right into the kitty litter, and you could pretty much throw your whole race away in one corner right there.
Now, I've spent a lot of time on this track, but usually I'm not in a car nearly this fast or with so much downforce. And one of the technical corners, one of the scariest corners, I think it was 130R. It's really fast, and in an MX-5 or even in a GT3 car, that can be tough because you have to lift. You can't go through their full speed. I found that in the Dallara, that corner's not nearly as scary, even though I'm taking it at incredibly high speeds. I feel more comfortable in it. Where I think a lot of the trouble is going to happen, and where we think we may see some issues, I found that on these slower corners like the hairpin there and turn 11, that these cars will get loose in the tail end. The cars will get heavy on the front in braking, and if you turn in before you've got that car woed up right, you can loop that car around behind. And what really happens, Brian, what I've seen a lot, is on these slow corner spins, you'll leave the car sideways in the middle of the track to be T-boned by the oncoming traffic.
Absolutely. It's tricky with the DW12 and how the gearbox is set up. When you're kind of spinning out, it's really hard to get it back into reverse in order to get out of the way. So really, when you're sitting sideways on the side of the track, you're vulnerable, yes, but as far as I'm concerned, with the code of conduct for road racing, or maybe the driver's code, that's been a popular word in NASCAR world lately, that maybe they're going to stay in the middle of the track to hope. So when everybody else is coming up on you, maybe stuck sideways at the exit of the hairpin, that you're going to be in that one spot, so everybody knows how to get around you. Now, of course, referencing the driver's code, some people view that more of maybe a recommendation versus more of a firm rule. So you're right. If you're stuck sitting in the middle of the corner and you get T-boned right there, these cars are also fairly fragile. They're not going to take a beating like your Chevrolet SS or your Ford Fusion on the Sprint Cup side of things. So something as simple as maybe even, with the open wheels, with the left front or the right front to the left rear, that could really throw your race out of proportion.
Yeah, a rule of thumb that I've always used when I see a car parallel to the track, or actually I guess perpendicular to where I'm coming, if I have a choice to go in front of him or go behind him, I always like to go behind him because chances are he's going to want to go forward. Usually they don't go backwards, and that's usually a safer way to go around here. Let's give a shout out to this series organizer, which is Mike Willett. He's done a great job. He's had a lot of controversy trying to set this up, and he's done a good job trying to mediate to get everybody. He's working with a global network of drivers on it. The biggest problem he has is continental drift. If the continents were all combined like they were millions of years ago, it'd be a lot easier for him to schedule races. Fortunately for him, in this group, we're looking at 3 U.S. teams and 1 Canada team, so it should be pretty convenient for him. It looks like practice is over. They should be gridding up here pretty soon. Standing start today.
Yeah, if this was Pangea, we would have no issues whatsoever.
That boy.
That's a word I have not referenced since high school. You should be proud of me, Bill.
That was good. We like to commentate, but also educate all in one.
We're multifaceted here at GSRC.
Okay, we have a standing start. Let's go through a few of these. The race, it's 45 minutes. We're going to be looking at a pit stop. They're going to do a standing start. We're looking at, we talked about 1 pit stop before. We have 4 clubs here, so they should be gridding up here. Actually, there's still a few seconds left before they grid up. I think we're going to have a close contest here today between Northwest and Canada. We have, looks like only 16 cars, though, that are making the field, so we're a little slim there. Some clubs didn't get a full complement of drivers.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting with the way that everybody's spread out. You got your Canada versus your Northwest, and the way that the results are kind of laid out. It seems like everybody's kind of really across the board, except for Naruko Ishida, who apparently has found a ton of grip. The comment that one of the drivers was referencing in the chat window, or in the room itself, was everybody take a good look at Naruto's car, because that's going to be the last time you're going to see it.
Yeah, he is literally about, looks like about 1.4 seconds faster than Jimbo Pfeiffer in second place. Of course, it's a long race, and you're getting up too fast. We're going to see lap traffic here, so that's going to come into play as well. But boy, that is something else. Now, what club? Usually I can kind of guess at what club would he be from?
I would give you 3 guesses, and you need about 5 of them. He is actually representing Canada.
Okay, they're gridding up right now, so let's go ahead and run these. Starting at the top here in qualifying, we have Naruko Ishida, very fast. Jimbo Pfeiffer's going to be in second place. Joel Tremblay is in third. Now, outside of row 2 is Bruce Snelson. In the inside of row 3, Brian Bennett. And then on the outside of row 3 is Alexander. And here comes this name we're going to work on here. Slusarich, we're going to call it. Brian, what do you see for row 4?
Row 4, we've got Wayne Hutchinson representing the Northwest, and also to his outside is Kyle Murphy representing the Northwest as well. P9 will go to Quentin Young. 10th will go to Ross Goodacre out of Canada as well. In 11th, we are going to have Sean Brightsman. And in 12th, we are going to have Brandon Watch.
Dallas Murphy in the Baker's Dozen spot. Kyle Young in 14th. 15th is Jacob Klein. And then rounding out the field, Mark McFadden. Still waiting for our pole sitter to take the grid spot. Everyone else seems to be out there. Still waiting for that lead car to take his position on the pole.
There he is.
Lights are up. 16 cars. Engines revving, 1 foot on the clutch, 1 foot on the brake, the other foot on the throttle. There we go. Ishada gets a slow start, and moving to the inside, Jimbo Pfeiffer's going to take over the pole, going to take over the lead as they head down into 1. But now on the outside with a great run is the blue car of Joel Tremblay, going to move into first place, and then pulling up into second. Ishada is going to make up for that horrible start, and falling into third is Pfeiffer.
All clear out the back, especially when we get these standing starts. I kind of kept an eye on the rear of the field. Everybody's gone through the S curves and up to the Dunlop curve without any incident from as far as I can tell back here.
Tremblay moves up from third position to take the lead as they're working their first half a lap now. It won't be long until Naruko tries to make a move on him as they head down into the hairpin for the very first time. Everybody stays in line. Let's go ahead and follow all these cars through the hairpin, see how they do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars, 6 cars, 7 cars, everybody through. Single file, not a single touch, and everyone makes it through the hairpin as they work their way around to Spoon.
Watching them come out of the other corner of Spoon. Here's where we're going to talk about that long stretch leading up to turn 15. This is where you're on the gas. This is, in Naruko's case, you are sniffing a draft right here, and you're trying to set up your move heading into 16, 15 if you're brave, but definitely leading into 16 because you're going to force the car in front of you to make a very awkward decision of do you take you guys into that corner, and it looks like everybody's falling in line. It's lap 1 of a 45-minute race, so yeah, let's not push the issue this early.
Ashido with a nice run from second position through the Casio hairpin as they finish lap 1. Tremblay with a great start. Now look at Ishida as he starts to get a run. He's going to make a move. Nope, he's going to hold back. It's a long race. Had a nice run, though. I think he's just measuring the leader, sees where he can make the spot as they head up through the S's.
Sometimes in road racing, you spend a good portion of time just trying to size up where you might be able to make a move. I mean, everybody in the field knows that Naruko is fast. There's no denying that whatsoever. So when you are in Joel's position, you're trying not to give too much away. Naruko is very easily studying. He's got a good run coming out of that corner there. But he's just studying him, seeing where Joel might be leaving a little bit of room or leaving a little bit out on the table so he'd be able to strike as they come out of the Degner curve and up to the hairpin.
And I think Ishida knows he's also fast. And whoa, as Tremblay brakes really early, and I thought Ishida was going to get into the back of him there. I think Naruko is just waiting. He knows he's got 45 minutes, and once he can get around him, it might be he's thinking it's game over, so there's no reason to force the issue early. I'll wait till I can do it. But those two drivers are beginning to distance themselves away now from Pfeiffer, who's running in third, Bennett, who's running in fourth, and then back to fifth is, I'm going to call it Snelson.
Yeah, it looks good enough for me. It's Bruce Nelson, yes. And off of that start, everybody's pretty much locked in line with their qualifying position. The only really switch up that I'm seeing is maybe Ross Goodacre, who's down at 14th. He started 10th, probably didn't get a good start there, but everybody else is pretty much falling right in line with, or running right where they started.
Yeah, and we like to keep an eye on the battles throughout the pack. We don't always like to focus on the lead, but right now, the lead battle is the best battle. This battle here between Tremblay and Ishida. And I think look at Ishida as he has great grip going around the corner. Just waiting for the right opportunity. I've seen him make a move. I think he likes it in 1. I'm not sure he's real comfortable going down in the hairpin. Last time was a little scary. Let's see what happens as they come down towards the hairpin this time.
Well, and that could have been Joel ran a little bit wide there, and that's going to bring Naruko right up to his rear wing of that car as they head off, going right back into Degner again.
Now here we go. They're 1-2 as they come in. Now let's see what kind of line that Tremblay takes here. A normal line, and that looked a lot better that time, a lot less scary. Let's see, they both get a nice bite out of the corner. So I think it's going to be another lap with the status staying the same. Meanwhile, go ahead.
I was just going to say, that looked like, just kind of watching that battle, Naruko got into the corner better, but Joel, by taking that slower entrance, he got the better run off.
And we have Quentin Young is in the pit stop. We'll see if we can get a replay of it right now. See what happened to Quentin. He's the first driver to have trouble. Going back to live as we have a battle for the lead. Nope, not going to happen yet. Oh, he's...
I was going to say,
yeah,
that wasn't much of a battle right there. That was Naruko getting the job done.
Now we'll get that on replay here as we can see them going side by side. Cialis Bathtubs down into the left-hander, and Ishida's going to take that position. And now, as we come back to live, he's beginning to open it up. On battle right now, still looking at the leaders. Ishida comfortably out in front, pulling away from Tremblay now. Pfeiffer running in third, Bennett in fifth, and Bennett in fourth, and Snelson running in fifth if they continue. As we're on looking at Pfeiffer right now, running in third.
I was actually, I don't know if we top back off on that. I had some timing and scoring issues, but
I did as well.
Quentin Young, actually, the same thing happened to him that happened to me. As they came out of the hairpin, he just got a little too pedal happy, and the car spun out from underneath him, and he's been on pit road. It didn't hit anything. He just kind of came to a stop, and I think he just elected to have a tow.
Let's go back in the field and see if we can see now as they begin to stretch out here. Let's go back and look at, drop back to Mark McFadden, currently running in 12th position. He's being chased down by Ross Goodacre, running in 13th. Distance of about 1.4 seconds. And Brian, you know what? These 16 cars have really spread out.
Absolutely. I mean, everything that we talked about, Naruko in 2 laps has put out a ginormous lead over Joel. Before, it looks like they went into a corner there.
Yep.
But he is up 4 seconds. I mean, his last lap was His last lap was 2.5 seconds faster than Joel. So that's going to definitely be the pace setting. But everybody else throughout the field, it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier. Other than that one little spin-off from Quentin, everything else seems to be kind of peaceful here throughout the back.
Looking at the best battle on the track here is this battle now for second position between Tremblay and Pfeiffer. Pfeiffer, of course, was on the front row, had a great start, held the lead there for a little bit, then gave it up. And now he's seen as he can come back here on Tremblay.
Yeah, Pfeiffer has definitely pulled a gap over Brian Bennett from starting in second. I mean, from the way that they came off the line, he's been kind of recouping from that start where I think he led in turn 1 and then fell right behind Joel and Naruko as they went through turns 1 and 2 and then into 3 and 4.
And you have to be a certain age to appreciate the paint scheme there on the number 12 car of Joe Tremblay, but that's a player's car. That's, I think, giving Greg Moore a little tribute to Greg Moore, I would think.
Absolutely. I'm not looking in the car just yet from my perspective, but if those gloves are red, that is a perfect tribute.
Of course, Greg Moore, the Canadian driver, lost his life tragically. I believe it was at Montana.
You are correct. He does have the red gloves, so yes, I guess if you're watching from the north, that's your emotional. He got really squirrely coming out of the corner there. But then I think we're going to jump back to 7th here on track.
Looking at Sean Biesman and Alexander Slazarek. Slazarek in the dark red machine there, at least on my screen. Is that what color we are showing on iRacing? I believe it might be. And then, of course, Biesman in the blue and white and yellow car up ahead. That's a battle for 7th and 8th.
Everybody seems fairly evenly matched throughout the back of the field. Every time we seem to catch up on a battle, and then maybe everybody's just camera shy, because as we come through here, everybody seems to spread out. So guys, we want to broadcast some good action. Don't be afraid. Mix it up. Whoa! We got a problem there with Slazarek. That name's gonna trouble me all night. The same situation. Let's see here. I'm gonna let you take over for that one, Bill.
Yeah, it's he was able to save, and he's still out there. You can see him in the bright blue, fluorescent blue machine there. I think our battle here now, if you look, we have a nice battle here. If you're looking up to 6th place is Wayne Hutchinson, and right behind him is Biesman. Then not too far back in 8th position is Kyle Murphy, and then we go back there to Slazarek running in 9th. Everybody still is running nice single file. Probably our closest battle. Now let's go ahead and look at 6th place there. It's Hutchinson and Biesman. Biesman with a gonna take a little peek. He's gonna spy the inside. Not gonna try the inside though.
No, you can't go into that corner right there. Going into 1 and try to force the issue. You have to really be right up right into the middle of the car in order to make that corner work. You can't just dive in from 5 or 6 car lengths back. That's just going to end both of your days right there.
Meanwhile, this to touch base up, we can stay on this battle as you're watching, but this to cover the front there. Ishida is pulling away. He's now got a 7-second lead over Tremblay. Tremblay with about a 1-second lead over Pfeiffer. Pfeiffer's backed off a little bit from 3rd as they run 1, 2, 3. And we're still looking there at Hutchinson, currently running in 6th position.
It's like we were talking about. It's pretty civil throughout the entire field. Everybody seems to be settling into a rhythm. We have about 33 minutes left in this race. Still early, but now I also think that we are just not that far away from seeing where these teams are going to fall on the strategy side that I kind of made reference to at the beginning of the race. Are you going to cut this race dead even down the middle, or are you going to run it long and then have a lighter fuel load and fresher tires for your short stint of maybe 15 minutes to the end?
Well, yeah, now we can start to talk big picture here, because remember, of course, we're interested in the winner, but we're also interested in the club winner. Canada holding down the 1 and 2 spots with Ishida and Tremblay running 1, 2. Now, it's not too far back as where Pfeiffer is going to be making a move. He's able to pace Tremblay. Brian, I wonder if it's like aero washes. I see these guys close up and they just can't seem to get the job done. I wonder if they're starting to push a little bit when they get close.
Well, it very well could be. The way that the backside of these DW12 Indy cars are laid out, it's very conducive to having a lot of dirty air coming off of the rear of the car. And where Pfeiffer is running is kind of in that, you're just starting to enter that zone of disturbed air. I mean, we kind of watched it right there. He got through the hairpin, but pushed very wide on the other side of it. And then also the other thing is, as these fuel loads start to burn off, that's putting a lot of nose weight back into the car. So we could see more issues that way as well as this race, or as this first part of the race goes on.
Okay, let's go back to 10th position, get a little screen time to Kyle Young from New York. Actually, I'm familiar for Kyle Young from several seasons back. He's put in a few races in the MX-5 World Tour, New York driver. Currently running in 10th and being challenged a little bit by Brandon Walk in 11th. Now, Brandon Walk, they're running in the National Guard scheme. Let's see, what club is he from? He looks like he's from New York as well. So a pair of New York drivers there running in 10th and 11th.
And when we kind of look at the overall picture, you kind of referenced that there for a second, Bill. Canada is 1-2, but then Northwest is holding down 3rd through 8th. And then you've got Canada again in 9th, and then the aforementioned, or as you just talked about, New York, they're in 10th and 11th.
Yeah, now we've seen that from Northwest a lot. We covered the Pac Majors, which is really an event that Mike Willett is famous for running, and that's a club racing as well between the Northwest Club, the Texas Club, the California Club, and the West Club. And while Northwest is not necessarily all that terrific on winning races, what they are very, very good at is banging the doors and getting people to the polls to vote. I mean, they get out a lot of people into the races, and they may not win. They may actually win this event without finishing inside the top 2. They just may have the numbers to get up there, as you said, dominating like 3rd through 8th.
It's strength in numbers right there. You don't ever have to have the fastest car out there. You just have to have the best car when the time is right. I kind of, going back to an earlier Formula One reference, that's what Alain Prost was known for in his career. He never had to have to push when he didn't have to. As Kyle Young got a little wide coming out of the Degner curve there, or actually turn 9, sorry. But he never pushed when he didn't have to. So when you've got as many cars running in the order that they're at, so when you look at Northwest there, they know where they have to run. So you have to know, or they clearly there's a play here that they're at of going, hey, you know what, we've got strength in numbers, let's use it to our advantage.
Riding on board now, and if you can take a look at it, I really think this is the best battle on the course. Is Jimbo Pfeiffer in that battle with Joel Tremblay for second position? I think Jimbo is just about to run out of patience here and start to make a move. He's within a second now. He's closing in, just trying to find out. He can't get close enough to put on a challenge. He certainly has the pace. Maybe he's thinking that if he can't do it cleanly, he'll force the issue if you can't get around him at the pit stop.
Suzuka is known for having to put every corner together. So you've got 18 corners that you have to tie together for a perfect lap. And it seems like Joel is better through the bendy bits of the course, as the famous Steve Matchett would say. And Joel makes it all back up coming out of turn 11 and then turn 14 all the way up into the Casio Triangle, but he seems to fall off coming through the S-curves of corners 3 through 7.
Yeah, you wonder if they have different setups. You wonder if one is less downforce, one is more downforce, one's faster through the twisty section but doesn't have the straightaway speed. And again, they know they have a pit stop to make, so maybe you don't want to force the issue if you're going to lose it. Maybe you want to see how you fare out after you come in for your stop. And again, I don't know, maybe Pfeiffer's back there saving fuel, maybe he'll take a little less at the pit stop and try to do it that way.
Absolutely. It's always a fun opportunity or fun race when you see the one stop and to see how it all works out. And actually, speaking of pit stops, Jacob Klein on and off pit road. So this could be his strategy play.
Yeah, that's our first lead lap car to come in that's really...
And he's going to exit right in front of this battle for second, but he gets out of the way. Good on you, Jacob. Good on you.
Well, he's out of the way of one.
Ooh, that's going to get tight. There's some... I have been in Jimbo's position there, and I'm guilty, and anybody else who knows me out there I'm very guilty of the red mist of war coming over. And when you get into that driver's seat, I'm sure there was a couple words that we probably cannot say on GSR TV floating, or GSRC, sorry, floating through his mind right there.
Yeah, it's often a matter of when you catch him, and that's certainly not the best place to do it. Oh, we have a spin here. It looks like I saw Ross Goodacre spin the car a little bit back, but he's got it out there. I don't think we need to find it on replay.
Kyle Young also on pit road.
Our leaders are staying out. Yes, Pfeiffer now lost a lot of time there getting caught behind the lap car of Klein. And Jacob, you can't make your car invisible. I'm going to sympathize with you a little bit there. That was a rough spot to come out to the leaders.
Well, you're coming through the S-curves there. He really had no place to hide. I'm not going to fault him too much there. Then again, you know, maybe I've been in his boat, so I sympathize. What I'll be curious of is, because maybe he's falling back, I want to see if Jimbo... Nope, he goes past the entrance to pit road. I thought maybe he was going to peel off here and try to make up a little bit more ground on Joel.
Okay, let's take a look at the fourth place driver, Brian Bennett. There's really no reason to look at him other than we like to give everybody a little screen time. Brian spends a little time racing in the MX-5 World Tour, currently running in fourth right now, hailing from the Northwest Club.
Well, he's also got a pretty car. That's a reason enough to look at it.
It's a beautiful blue car there with the red and black stripes across
That's a sharp car right there. Ladies go crazy for a sharp dressed car.
Channeling a little ZZ Top there. Meanwhile, now the Tremblay and Pfeiffer battle is beginning to close back up again. It's down to a second and a half. And that's really, I think Pfeiffer really has the pace to run that down. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll see if we can find another battle here, or somebody we haven't talked much about yet, Bryant.
I'm looking at the battle for sixth, though. Wayne Hutchinson has Sean Brightsman all over the back of that car as they come up through the hairpin right here. Wow, he really took a charge at it, but he realized he probably couldn't make it back out. And you're going to see Hutchinson try to get away here as they're working their way up around 12 and then up into 13 into the corners known as Spoon Curve.
Guys holding position. I don't know if we've seen more than maybe one pass for position so far. If I can check back our notes, maybe two at the most. These guys have been...
Give and take as this race wears on is going to turn into more take and take.
Hutchinson now as they go through the Casio Triangle. Let's see what kind of drive Hutchinson gets off there, and then Beatsman gets from behind it. Boy, they're going to hold station down the straightaway.
Now, I know in the real-life counterpart, these cars on the road course have a push-to-pass, and I don't have a whole lot of experience with the DW12 on the oval or on the road course side of things. Do they have push-to-pass on here, Bill?
They have 10 push-to-passes, so that's
10?
Nakuro Ishida, who had a horrible start and dropped way back. Maybe he forgot he had the push-to-pass. I think everyone else might have gone.
Well, clearly he didn't need it. The gap from first to second is, I hope you're sitting down, folks, a scarce 16 and a half seconds.
Yeah, this is... So you'll want to turn back now in 2 weeks. You'll want to turn in for the championship and see how he does, even though... well, let's hope his club actually makes it there. That's the first thing that has to happen to see him in the championship. And that's if we can get Canada to pass through. I think, honestly, Canada might have their work cut out for him, because I think the Northwest, like we talked about earlier, might have the numbers.
It's numbers versus speed. That's how this one's going to shake out, too.
And Pfeiffer is coming into the pit lane right now. So there's our first real leader as we're looking at a battle here. No, we're on Pfeiffer right now as he comes in. Now, we're going to go to P11, and I'll keep an eye on Pfeiffer, see how he sorts out. There's your battle for 11th position.
Mark McFadden is holding off a fierce charge from Ross Goodacre as he runs wide through the corner. That's what I was talking about. And a couple laps that I ran, that corner it's very sneaky, because you drive in there, you can't drive 13 the same way that you drive 14, and that slight bend in the middle is really what's going to throw you off. And I think that's what we just saw happen to Ross there as they come through.
Look at this run, though.
He was on the push to pass, and now he's caught right back up.
Looking now at Tremblay, we hear that he may have had some issues. Yeah, Tremblay put it off.
I think he got, coming through, I think that was corner 5, and he just nosed up into the tire barrier up there.
I think we have it on replay. I think our director has found it. It looked like he put it off into the sand, and then I do think he nosed it in. Let's see. Here he is coming through the... Is that through the S's, it looks like there?
I believe that was turn 5 up into 6.
Yep. And now he just can't. It's hard to tell from this angle if he got in there. Looked like he might have nosed it in. We're getting confirmation that he did, so the bad news is he did that. The good news is he hasn't pitted yet, so he can come in and probably get that taken care of pretty quickly.
We'll have to see what kind of optional damage and how long his pit time is. Kind of looking at the average stop time from the 5 or 6 drivers that have pitted already. The average stop time is right about the 9 seconds. So as we're watching Joel Tremblay coming to pit road this time, maybe that car was just too wounded as he was coming. Because when you damage the nose, that absolutely kills you in all these bendy parts of the corners, or bendy parts of the track.
Now, while he comes in, we're going to keep an eye on really the guy who's gone into the pits and is our leader for the people who's pits, and that's Jimbo Pfeiffer. Going through Casio right now, and you're going to see that he is going to pass. I assume that Tremblay is still in there. Yep. And there goes Pfeiffer. He's going to pass him now. That's going to put Pfeiffer as the leader of the cars who have pitted.
And that's going to get interesting as this race runs on. I also don't want to overlook Bruce Snelson running there in 3rd place out of the Northwest. Still, still out there on his original tires. He's hanging on. He's running equal lap times with Bennett. So we're going to have to see, and now it's going to be interesting to see how the fresh tires pay off for people. And it looks like Slarzik.
I'll go with that.
Yeah, he's on and off pit road. Fury of action going on pit road. We've got Brandon Watch on pit road, Mark McFadden, Dallas Murray, and I missed somebody, Ross Goodacre.
And our leader is in now. He has a 32-second lead on Brian Bennett, so he can actually come in, get full fuel, get new tires, have a little lunch, I probably think, maybe call his girlfriend, and still probably get out ahead of the leaders who have Bennett and Tremblay, who have really it's Tremblay who's pitted that we have to keep an eye on.
Let's see, even with the delta time, well, I think Bennett is on pit road right behind him, and Snelson is also on pit road. So now we're going to have to see how Jimbo comes out in all of this.
Yes.
Keeping an eye on him right now, he is coming up into the Casio Triangle, turn 16, 17, and 18. So we're going to have to see how he merges out with everybody else that has tires now.
Yep, meanwhile, your leader is back comfortably out. Even though, and Bennett has come into pit now, so these guys are all coming in. And Snelson, let's keep an eye here on that. Snelson and Bennett, see how they fare, because they were running nose to tail, and Bennett's going to get out first. Snelson's still in the pits. Now he's leaving.
And Jimbo has leapfrogged everybody and is up to P2 from what I can tell right now.
Yep, he came in early, and then, of course, when Tremblay had his problem, looks like Tremblay, who's come out, he's going to cycle now out into 5th position after he took his little off-road excursion there. And we're hearing he's at 3rd, yeah, because he's going to cycle through. He's going to cycle ahead of Snelson, and ahead of Bennett, most likely. So our top 3 are going to be Ishida, Pfeiffer, and Tremblay.
And now that's also culminated. Everybody is pitted on this cycle of stops. So now you've got what you got. You got 17 minutes left in this race. Take it, run with it, and see what it brings you.
Looking at the nose on Joel's car there, it does look clean, so I think they were able to get that fixed. It looks pretty good. See if we can find a battle somewhere back farther in the pack here. Pretty spread out, so maybe we can find somebody who we haven't talked about much here today. Have we talked much about, let's go to Mark McFadden. Let's give him a little screen time, currently running in 12th position. Let's see what kind of scheme he is running there. It says World Tour on it. Netflix, running the Netflix.
All he needs is a ICE sponsorship on there somewhere for the Netflix and chill angle, and I think he'd have it completely perfect.
Oh,
I heard groans from the producer, so I know I made a funny joke.
I'm still running my Blockbuster paint scheme. I think I better update that. currently running, Mark McFadden, currently running in 12th position. But, if we take a little bit back, we got a little bit of a battle here. It's Ross Goodacre coming in there running in 13th. Under a second now. Running in that phonetic car there. Goodacre's had a great race. He spent a lot of time off in the sand, exploring, I guess, the bad acres of this track. He wants to only do the good acres, which is the pavement part.
Yeah, these DW12 cars, they don't like the sand that well. They're not built for the off-roading capabilities that iRacing has put out there.
Goodacre hailing from the Canada squad, and McFadden also from the Canada squad. In fact, as you look on the standings there, you can see that 12th, 13th, and 14th are all from the Great White North. It's nice to have their participation, but I think they need to be a little farther up the standings if they want to get their squad into the next round. But, you couple that with what you're seeing up front now, with your leader also being from Canada, hard to do the math. Hard to say.
That's why I let other people that are smarter than me do the math stuff. I'll stick to calling what I see on the track. I'll let smarter people than I handle the math.
One thing that we may see, and you see a lot of in World Cup racing, is since both those guys are from Canada, you'll see a lot of, Canadians are polite just by birth, but they'll be extra polite. Just two Canadians together running in a club race. Pretty much that's going to be an excuse me after you type thing. Oh, but right behind them now, this is interesting. Right behind them, we stay on that battle, the car third in line. Look who that is. That's your leader, Nakuro Ishida, coming in there.
And he leaps out of the way. That's probably the smart play if you're Ross. You see that car coming, you had better not stay right in front of him. And I think Naruko's going to come through here and pick up Mark, probably as they come through the front stretch.
Going to catch him at a real good time here.
And Mark was just calling it out over the race channel. He's going to go all the way to the left of the track, which is going to let Naruko slide by on the inside. And yeah, there he goes. Mark broke early and let Naruko go by there. Smart play, Mark.
Yeah, as a card-carrying member of Back Markers United, that's the way you want to do it. You want to hold your racing line. You don't. What a lot of back markers do by mistake is they try to pull to the inside and let the guy go around so he doesn't have to get off his racing line. You don't want to do that. You want to stay out there, be predictable, let the faster car get around you. They don't mind doing that as long as they know where you are.
It's absolutely. Being maybe I'm a rookie or a probationary member of the back marker club, if anybody pays attention to my road stats. That's definitely it. If you can stay in one spot, it doesn't matter if you can stay in the racing line on a spot like that and not throw everybody off.
And then there are some times when you get through sections where the leader just is gonna have to wait, because if you want me to do something, you want me to get offline, you're asking for nothing but trouble. So sometimes it's in everybody's best interest just to take our time. So Nakura Ishida currently with, oh my goodness, can that possibly be correct? I'm looking at a 27-second lead over Jimbo Pfeiffer.
I believe if you're a fan of the NFL and seeing as we have so many Northwest participants, the running back for the Seattle Seahawks is also known as Beast Mode. I think that's what we're going to call Naruko here.
Hopefully he won't decide to pass on the last play of the gold line. Keep it in beast mode, I think, is always
now we just lost all sorts of viewership from the Northwest.
We well, I'm going to... Now, we're supposed to say neutral here, but the race fan in me wants to see this guy race again in the next round. So I got a hunch that these two teams are going to be able to put in enough points because neither one is really dominating. I would not be surprised to see both the Northwest and the Canadian teams advance, because the other clubs, we talked about it earlier, the other clubs and the other groups were so dominant. I mean, Finland went 6 for 6 in the oval and almost did the same in the road course. It's hard to pick up any points if you're one of the teams running in second, third, or fourth. So maybe we might get to see this driver again.
I would certainly hope so. He's absolutely putting on a driving clinic right now, as he's coming up through the hairpin right now. And there we go. Our cameras have caught up. He's absolutely put on a driving clinic. Folks, if you're trying to learn how to drive this track, I would absolutely pay attention to everything that Naruko has done here. Clearly class of the field, 2 seconds a lap roughly faster than everything behind him. And really, the part for him is he's got to make sure that he makes the end of the race. Clearly, you're not going to have any run come up from second place this far back and this late in the race. So for Naruko, you kind of have to now maybe switch to a defensive mode. You know you have the lead. Don't throw the race away, because we've seen it so often in racing. The leader will beat themselves coming down to the wire here. So if you're Naruko, and especially if you're rooting in from Team Canada, you don't want to see him throw this race away, because that is, first place is valuable points.
You know, we've talked about it before, and as we've mentioned that, we've seen drivers like this before, and we've asked them what their strategy is when they haven't made, and they say they get into more trouble when they start to back off, that they lose their rhythm, that they, so many times these hot shoes say that the safest thing for me to do is to keep pushing. And just to follow up on that, Naruko's fastest lap was lap 18, where he ran a 1:41.6, fastest lap of the race 3 laps ago. So I think he's one of those drivers that knows one speed, and he's just going to go. He doesn't want to lose that rhythm that's been so successful, as you see him going under the underpass. You know, I always wish that they had made this track without the overpass, that they just made a simple intersection there. I think that would be much more exciting.
Well, it could be exciting, but at the same time, with that overpass there, that adds such a unique dimension to this track, in just how it all flows and runs. But it's really neat that they put that concept into it. You know, I mean, if we're going to put an intersection there, we could also put a ramp up there.
There you go. All right, we're going to go back and look at this battle again here with McFadden in this battle with Goodacre. Goodacre has been chasing him for a while. 2 Canadian drivers. Now they've distanced themselves a little bit. They had Dallas Murphy was closing in on them as well, but he's several ways back. So these guys are beginning to pull away. And again, it's about a second, 1.1 second.
Yeah, and you know, we love to broadcast really good racing and really good action. And folks, this is the closest battle on the entire circuit out here, is this battle between McFadden and Goodacre.
Well, that's good for their friends and family. Get them a little screen time there. Of course, we talked about it before. McFadden in the car, leading the car in that white Netflix car. And then Goodacre in the Phonetic car. About 7 minutes to go. Currently on lap 21. The weather is nice. Traffic is good, so if you're going to work, you won't have to worry about that.
Something else I'm going to noticing, kind of looking at Tremblay from that perspective, his car must be fully repaired because he is charging. He's making up a little bit of time each lap on Pfeiffer. It kind of ranges between about half a second to 3/4 of a second to a second a lap. The gap sitting right now is 6.7 seconds. It's going to take an effort to get up there, but if you're in Pfeiffer's shoes and you get caught up behind a lap car, or you put yourself off into the corner, or put up yourself off into the kitty litter, Tremblay is going to be there to strike.
Yeah, and that's for 2 different squads there, as Pfeiffer, of course, is the Northwest Club, so that's for points. And there's bigger points. It's laid out. If I remember right, when I looked at the points, it's weighed heavier at the top. So a pass for second place is going to be worth a lot more for your club there. And not only, you have to keep in mind that that's the club you're chasing in the points. That's a swing both ways. That's points for you and points away from the club you are trying to run and catch.
I believe you would call that a win-win, Bill.
That is. Now, of course, there are 2 splits. So there's this split. We're doing the main split. There's another split being raced on the road course, and then there were earlier today. There were 2 road racing, 2 oval racing splits at Homestead. Let's go ahead and look at our leader right now as he's being held up a little bit by Kyle Young. Kyle Young is, and there Kyle's going to give him the inside. Can we get the there, Kyle? Our leader was caught in a tough situation, and Kyle had nowhere to go. And with a 36-second lead, I think Ishida had time to wait.
Even getting caught up in lap traffic, I think he's still going to run a faster lap time.
Yeah. Kyle Young running in 10th right now, 17 seconds ahead of Brandon Walk for 11th. Just about 5 minutes to go here.
The point that I was referencing, that gap is still slowly closing between Tremblay and Pfeiffer. With 5 minutes left, it's going to be tough, and I think he might be able to get there, but I don't know if he'll be able to make the pass.
Yeah, getting there and making the pass is very different. My dad always used to say, passing a faster driver is like trying to milk a rooster. The easy part is the hard part starts after you catch it. Sorry, Dad, I blew your line there a little bit.
And actually, kind of going back in the pack a little bit, Kyle Murphy had a big shunt coming through corner 15. The car may have already been wounded coming into the corner. I'm trying to kind of go back. Yeah, so Kyle has had a rough lap here. He ran it wide coming through 13, off onto 14, and then when he exited out of 14, he put the right rear tire off into the kitty litter, spun and hit the inside wall, gathered it all back up together, and decided to tackle turn 15 with an aerodynamically wounded car. And he got into the corner, the car snapped to the left, and he corrected to the right, and then shot him directly into the tire barriers.
And that, again, is a Northwest Club member, so that little mistake is going to cost a few points as he's going to drop a few positions there. And we're not sure how close this battle is, but it could be real close. And any one of these little mistakes might be the difference between your club advancing to the next round and being done here tonight.
And Kyle Murphy has since disconnected from the racing server here.
.3 minutes to go, so we're looking at maybe 2 or 3 laps left as our leader now is going to be crossing the start-finish line. He's going to be starting his 25th lap as he goes across the start-finish line with 3 minutes and just over 3 minutes to go. 3 minutes and change.
And everything is smooth sailing throughout the pack. Tremblay, I think, got held up. I was talking about him making gains. I think he got held up behind the wounded car of Dallas Murphy there and broke his rhythm, because now he has fallen from about 5.5 seconds to about 7.2 back off of Pfeiffer. So with just a hair under 3 minutes left of this race, I think that barring major incident, I think that they're going to finish as they're running right now.
And our leader just went around Jacob Klein, who's currently running in 14th position. Going to put him 2 laps down now. 8 cars on the lead lap. Our last car on the lead lap is Alexander Slazarek, running 1 minute and 33 seconds behind the leader. Let's see how close the leader is to catching him. Oh, he might get there before the end here. Well, I guess we got to give a tip of the hat, even though there wasn't a lot of fighting going on. It's nice to see clean racing. Sometimes these events can drive the director crazy. All he does is rewind, looking for incident after incident. It's hard to cover the actual race story. Pretty clean here today.
Absolutely makes for an easy broadcast for us too. I mean, don't forget about us. You know, we're up here in the booth, watching down, looking at everything, and when everybody is minding their P's and Q's and not bumping into each other, it makes it pretty easy for us to follow the broadcast and tell everybody at home a great story.
And we get the call that the white flag is out for our leader as he's starting now lap 26. Of course, he's blinking for me a little bit right now, so I want to add a little drama.
I was just watching the same thing, wondering if it was my connection or anything else.
Oh, that would be so sad if he had an internet connection. That would be like a faulty ignition or something. That's a $6 part that could cost you the race.
No,
But he
that
looks
is
steady now.
what that is that was the 2011 Indianapolis 500 where J.R. Hildebrandt was leading the race and hit the wall coming out of turn 4. That's what that would be like.
Actually, one of our GSRC members, Joe Peak, was actually at that event. That was one of the most tragic and not tragic, that's the wrong word to use in racing, but certainly, I'm going to say it. It was tragic. It was tragic to give away the Indianapolis 500.
It left a very
corner.
good conspiracy theory throughout that day because if you also remember, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the National Guard also sponsored Chevrolet in the Coke 600 that night, ran out of fuel in turn 3 on the last lap. So both drivers being JR, National Guard. It was a good theory.
Our leader's coming through Casio Triangle right now. He's got one more corner to go. He hugs the inside wall. He's going to make for a pretty picture as he crosses the start-finish line, and he wins it for his club, Canada. We'll follow through and see second place. I believe we'll see if we can get a hold of Jimbo Pfeiffer. Maybe we can follow all these lead cars as they come across. Jimbo Pfeiffer currently with a 5-second lead on Tremblay.
For point of reference, when Naruko hit the start-finish line, Jimbo was just coming out of corner 14.
Here comes Pfeiffer. He has blinked away from me. Pfeiffer has blinked away. I think he might have blinked away with one corner to go.
Oh, my.
Unbelievable.
Oh,
Nope. I see him crossing.
Back.
Did he get the win? I think he got second place.
My
sure.
timing and scoring shows him in second place.
Oh. Pfeiffer across. Now we'll look at Brian Bennett coming across in 4th position. Nice finish from him. 5th place going right through the triangle right now is Bruce Snelson. Coming across for the Northwest squad. We'll stay on all these cars on the lead lap. Following him is Sean Beatsman.
I've got my eye on 7th place, Wayne Hutchinson, making his way through the Casio Triangle for the final time. And coming out of there and coming onto the front straightaway.
Which means I get to pronounce this last name one last time. I think I'm going to have it mastered now. Alexander Slazarek is what I'm going to call him.
I think that's the winner chicken
I think
dinner
that's
right
it. And now that I've got it, let's race some more. Slazarek finishes in 8th position. And that's going to wrap it up for us. We're going to take a little break. Now, don't go away. We're going to show you a slideshow with upcoming events. We're going to come back, get some interviews from these guys. We should get a lot of them because they're all English-speaking. We'll run down the standings, do interviews, and then, of course, wrap up with the closing credits. Be back in just a few. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing Channel's coverage of the iRacing World Cup. I believe this is the final event of the semifinals. I think this road course race right now, Group D, I think it's done. So we should be able, hopefully, we have our minions out hunting to see if we can actually give you an answer of which club will be advancing from this. I got a hunch that it's going to be the Northwest Club. But while we're looking for that, let's go ahead and we're going to run down all 16 drivers here. I'm going to take the top 10. So your winner today in a dominating, crushing, I'm running out of adjectives, just overwhelming display was Nakura Ishida. And he's, of course, with the Club Canada. Second place, Jimbo Pfeiffer. Third place was Joel Tremblay. Now, Pfeiffer is from the Northwest Club, and then we get to Canada for Tremblay. Then we get to a whole bunch of Northwest clubs, and this is where it could be trouble. Brian Bennett, Bruce Snelson, Sean Beesman, and Wayne Hutchinson, all from the Northwest Club. Then we get down to 8th position, finally, to Alexander Slazarek in 8th position. We go to drivers who are a lap down. Kyle Young is from New York, and Brandon Walk rounds out the top 10, and he's from New York as well. Bryant?
Finishing P11 tonight, representing Club Canada, would be Ross Goodacre. 12th, also representing Canada, Mark McFadden. 13th goes to Dallas Murray, also from Canada. 14th goes to Jacob Klein out of New York. 15th to Kyle Murphy from the Northwest, who had the issues that we talked about late in the race. And finishing 16th, dead last on the grid, would be Quentin Young out of New York. He had the trouble coming out of the hairpin, and that seemed to be the end of his race right there.
We'll stall for just another 15 seconds, see if anyone's going to pop into the interview booth. Looking at those standings, my gut tells me that Northwest was the winner, at least of this split. Now, again, remember there's another road racing split that went on simultaneously to this one, and then, of course, there were the two oval races splits that will all be totaled up. But if this is any indication of what which club is going to advance, my gut tells me, even though your winner was from Canada, I think the Northwest probably had the numbers to get there. Okay, and we have no update. We're getting the news. There's no update, so I'm going to make the unofficial announcement that Northwest won this split, but we'll wait to see. Check back on iRacing to find out what's going on. We have nobody in for the interview room, so you know what that means, Brian? Nobody's in the interview, and we've done the standings. That means that we're done. We're going to do my mother-in-law's favorite part of the broadcast. In fact, she ignores the whole race and just watches this part, and that's the sponsor plugs. We'd like to thank, we don't want to thank some of these sponsors that are on my list because they were in the earlier race today, so let's forget them. Let's go down and thank the companies and equipment. Let's thank Mike Willett, first of all, for putting on this event. He does a great job. I believe he is the best league organizer in iRacing. Mike Willett does a great job in the organizer of the World Cup and also of the PAC Majors. Let's go ahead and thank the companies, equipment, and software that we use on our broadcast. That's iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch TV, Audio Texana, Behringer Media, and of course, Flux Capacitors Are Us, and Aver Media. The original music you've heard on today's broadcast, let's give a thanks to Eric Echolm and Casey Lalonde. Eric can be contacted on Twitter at Eric Echolm, and Casey can be found, his music can be found, of course, at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. Thanks to my mate, Brian, and to Amjed, and to, of course, Dougie Beard for his camera locations. If you'd like to know more about GSRC, you can find it at gsrcchannel.com, along with archived races and race highlights. We've also on Twitter at GSRC Channel and Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel. The title, no, I'm still reading a script from earlier today. Next up on the Global Sim Racing Channel, I know this is tomorrow. You want to catch this. It's the Blancpain event, an iRacing series, and I'm not sure where we're racing that one from. I know where we're racing from. It's from Zolder, so you want to check that, especially if you're a fan of chicanes, because Lord knows there's a lot of chicanes there. So come and check that out. It's going to be an exciting race. That's tomorrow morning on Global Sim Racing Channel. And now I think I've done everything that the housekeeping is all done. It's time for us to go off and have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race hard, race clean.
We do have an update.
Sorry, Bill.
Race.
What? All right.
Apologies.
We all,
Hi, guys.
You were kind of a runaway train there, Bill. We all had to stop you.
Oh my goodness.
Didn't
All
want
right,
you to
go,
take
Joe.
off. Apologies. This is Joe Peak with GSRC. We are getting updates on the points. I see Northwest has 635. Canada has 608. New York has 351, and we're waiting for Carolina to be updated right now. Currently, it's looking like Northwest is at the top of the points. Actually, you guys said Carolina didn't show, correct?
We didn't see any Carolina here today in this.
So
event.
that's it then. Carolina had 0 points. That's the score.
Can you read who was in second place?
Canada.
Well, I believe that's probably going to be enough. I think those points might be enough for them to win the wild card.
You're right. Canada had 608. Scandinavia had 553. Central Eastern Europe had 386, and Texas had 407. So Canada will be your wild card.
Which means you can all check back in and see what Nakura Ishida can do again in the final. So now that all the housekeeping is done, let's see where I leave off. See you on the track.